Undercurrent, sponsored by John Hughes in Victoria Park. Choose your station before you choose your program. Absolutely.
Hello and welcome to a brand new week of Undercurrent in the week where Sunday trading comes to Western Australia. I'm Christy Molliker. Well, first up on tonight's show, Janae Tomlinson takes a closer look at some of the problems faced by long-term residents in our caravan parks.
There are an estimated 250 residential parks in Western Australia, with up to 20,000 tenants. Residential park law is set to be reviewed by the local government. But first, there's going to be a consultation. Penny Lipscomb is the Director of Policy and Legislation at Consumer Protection. So Penny, what are park laws and why do they exist?
Well, let me set the scene first. There are a number of arrangements for people who choose to live in residential parks. For some people, they just rent like anybody in the community. For others, they own either a caravan or a park home, such as the ones you see around here. The Residential Parks Long Stay Tenants Act was put into place to govern the tenancy arrangements between people who choose to live in residential parks rather than just stay there for holidays and the park home operators.
What's classed as long stay, and can you give us the scope of different type of rental arrangements?
Certainly I can. With caravan parks, there are parks that are what's called mixed-use caravan parks, where they cater for holiday makers and people who choose to make their homes.
So why is this review being carried out?
When the Act was introduced, it has a requirement that it was reviewed after 5 years. It's important to find out whether the Act is still relevant or whether we need to make any modifications. Our intent is to make sure that the Act is fair for people who live in residential parks and for the people who operate those parks.
What are the concerns being raised?
Well, there are a variety of concerns being raised. One of the ones coming up is security of tenure. Residents who own a caravan or a park home on site want a reasonable lease. They want that security, and in the worst case, in case a park operator becomes insolvent. We're interested from hearing from people what they think a reasonable minimum term lease should be.
So can you tell us more about the difficulties residents face when parks are closed down or sold?
Well, you see, it's not easy to pack up. You have to find another place where you can move your home to. Then you have to arrange for it to be moved and get the truck and the crane. And you also have the expense that involves. So it takes time and it takes money.
So what if a long-term tenant wants to move or sell their home?
The difference is that when you buy into a residential park, while you'll own the home, you won't buy the land on which it's situated. And it's important that potential buyers know this.
This comprehensive discussion paper has now been released, and Consumer Protection encourage all interested parties in voicing their opinions during its review. Julia Lynch is the president of the Park Home Owners Association. Julia, one part of the consultation asks about park liaison committees. What are the functions of these committees?
The park liaison committees were designed to facilitate a forum for residents and park owners to get together and talk about issues within the park, and to come to some resolution between the two sides as to how they could resolve these issues.
So how many people are on these committees, and can you give me an example of some issues that you tackle?
It can be up to 6 residents, maybe more in some parks, but generally it's around 6, and 1 or 2 of the management who sit on those committees. One issue might be where you've got trees growing up by the side of a resident's house, and the roots are perhaps starting to come under the house, or they're causing concern to the residents. So they'll go to the Park Liaison Committee and let them know that this is what's happening, and then that's an issue that the committee would bring up with the managers of the park to work out some way of resolving the issue.
Now, Julia, how long did you live in a park home for?
I lived in a park home for 6 years.
And what was the reason that you left?
There was no fixed term lease, and once there's no fixed term lease, then there's no security for your long-term tenure. And so, given my age, I felt that I needed to find something far more secure than that. While I enjoyed very much living in the park home and was very sad to leave, I had to think of my long-term security, and that's why we had to leave.
Anyone who wants to make a submission should do so by the closing date, 30th November 2012. I'm Janae Tomlinson reporting for Undercurrent.
Well, next up, Juna Holsworth takes a closer look at the rates of pay the cleaners in our shopping centres are getting thanks to their recent protest.
Last week, Commonwealth Bank announced record profits of over $7 billion, and yet it still can't afford to pay its cleaners more than minimum wage. We're here today to witness the action that United Voice is taking against Australia's biggest bank.
The Commonwealth Bank own places like Exchange Plaza and retail sectors in the Midland Gate shopping centre, and we're basically trying to get Commonwealth Bank to show support for the cleaners that clean their building and help them make the profits so that the cleaners can basically earn a livable wage.
A cleaner on the award rate of pay makes about $34,000 a year full time. So we think, that rate of pay, that sort of annual salary means that people can barely afford to put food on the table or pay their bills. Last week, the CEO said he was unembarrassed and proud of the profit that they made. I think the Commonwealth Bank has got a reason to be embarrassed about the fact that they've, their cleaners getting paid so little. So right across the country today, there'll be cleaners and union members out talking to the public, making people aware of what the Commonwealth Bank is and isn't doing for cleaners.
My name's Paul, and I'm a cleaner. I've been cleaning now for 10 years. The premises of the Commonwealth Bank have been not, let's say, cleaned properly as they should be. The people that work for that particular cleaning contract company are not paid the right rates. Quite a few of them are immigrants on 457 visas. We feel that should be brought to the public's attention too.
So we've been going out to different branches. We've been out to Midland Gate where we had a little event out there. We had the car and a bit of music and created a bit of atmosphere. And we've basically been going around to different branches over different weeks and basically asking general public to support the contract cleaners across the entire Perth metro area.
Today we're outside Forest Chase, the Commonwealth Bank. We've been going around the suburban branches as well, talking to people and basically asking them to hand in a card of support, walk it into the bank so the bank's really aware that, one, that we're talking to the public about what they're doing, and two, that the public support a better rate of pay and better conditions for cleaners in Commonwealth Bank buildings.
As you can see today, people have been taking the flyers, they've really been listening to us. Obviously when they hear about the huge amount of profits Commonwealth Bank make compared to how much cleaners actually earn, they're really supportive of it and been really supporting of our action as well. So at the moment we'll probably keep on going out to other branches to keep on raising the profile in different sectors like that, but obviously it's about keeping up the pressure to raise the conditions for contract cleaners and make sure Commonwealth Bank can do the responsible thing in the future.
I would like to think that the Commonwealth Bank will do the right thing as a corporate citizen and take our claims very seriously and act upon that and ensure that in the future they make sure the rates of pay are better and that they actually make sure that they're part of the Clean Start Agreement.
It doesn't take much, but we can all do our part to ensure cleaners get a fair go.
Well, Labor has promised a 7% cut in the price of electricity if they are elected to power. But would that swing your vote? Well, next up today, Tomlinson takes to the streets of Perth to find out.
The state opposition has promised to cut power prices by 7%, saving the average household $111 annually if they win the next election. We hit the streets of Perth to see what you think of this political promise.
Well, if they can reduce it, yeah, it's good.
It's a load of bullshit. No one's going to do anything with the politics. Humanity and society's fucked.
I'm not going to vote for a government based on one thing. And honestly, I'm not very political, so I don't know.
They kept power costs down so low, they subsidised it for so long, so it had to come up at some stage. Well, we as a taxpayer pay for it any which way, I think, so I can't see if it's take from one, it'll be give from another. So yeah, they won't keep them down for too long.
So promises by politicians, they always make you sceptical?
Yeah, they're all just full of shit. I hate the Australian government, I hate all government.
Yeah, don't want to appear as cynical, but I think I am.
I feel like I don't know, it's always going to get worse. Like, power bills are always going to be a problem and fuel's always going to rise. Like, we're never going to be happy with that. So I just pay what I got to pay, and then if it gets too bad, then I'll stop using it.
Yeah, I am sceptical because at the end of the day, they got to run it like a business. So can't keep them subsidised for so long and not take from somewhere else.
So promises like this don't really sway your vote at all?
No, it doesn't, because in the end they just try to win the voters' confidence and get them to vote. They'll say pretty much anything. So I guess you have to go with the track record.
So you remain very sceptical about these kind of things?
Yes, I am.
What kind of promises would you like politicians to make?
More security.
Ones that they can keep, otherwise not bother.
To stop being wankers and to actually treat people fairly and treat everybody like a decent human being, not just the ones that they think deserve it.
My opinion is it doesn't matter who's in, they never kind of do the right thing by the public. So they make all these lovely promises, but once they get in, they kind of change.
I really can't say what kind of promises, but I like to see promises being done, you know.
I'm a Labour person and I'm sceptical about them now. Yeah, I voted them in, but I didn't agree. You know, the whaling and all the rest of it, they didn't do anything about that, which I voted for, really. So I think I'll change this year.
It seems most people are sceptical of these promises. However, the positive that this plan will benefit not only households, but also small businesses. I'm Janae Tomlinson, reporting for Undercurrent.
And pardon the pun, but doesn't our city by night look rather electric? I'm Christy Molliker. Join me for more Undercurrent after the break.
Undercurrent, sponsored by John Hughes in Victoria Park. Choose your station before you choose your program. Absolutely.